that's going to bring us to our top 5 for today. That's right, top 5 trash talkers in the UFC. All right, these guys have broken it down. Let's get to it. TJ, you are up first with your top 5. Who do you have for us?
My top 5, it's pretty easy for me. I got sorry, I got the wrong way. I'm going Nate and Nick Diaz for 5 and 4. You know, those guys are always putting on epic fights, and they're doing it in the octagon when they're talking crap. That's my favorite part. You know, they do a little bit of it beforehand, but they're flipping their opponents off in the octagon. They're talking crap to them. You know, it's just kind of the raw emotion while it's going on after their fights.
It's like they learned it and practiced it at home with each other as a family.
Oh, I'm sure they did. I'm sure picking on each other, they did it all the time, you know? And they're one of my favorite fighters. I love the way they fight. It's just raw emotion. I'd say number 3 for me is Michael Bisping. We just got done talking about him. He's always talking trash. You know, he does a good job at it. He's creative with it, and he gets underneath people's skin. He genuinely gets them to hate him. So he's got to be my number 3.
Number 2, who
Number
you got? 2
is Conor McGregor. He's talked his way into some being the top 5, I feel like, and he's done a good job of it. You know, everyone's talking about him right now, and you know, we'll see him hit a wall, I feel like, when he gets to the top, but he's done a great job of talking himself all the way there.
All right, number 1. I'm anticipating who this is going to be.
Number 1,
yep.
got to be Chael Sonnen. You know, the man. He's the one that created trash talking, I feel like, in the UFC. He's talked his way into some big fights as well. I feel like he got some title fights off of it, and he's actually a really smart guy with it.
Well, that's a pretty good list, Brendan.
I like that list. Great minds think alike.
I feel like there's going to be a lot of similarity
A lot
here.
of similarities.
Okay, let's see what you got.
Let's do it.
Number 5.
At number 5, we just got done talking about him. Michael Bisping, you know, good buddy of mine, training partner. Bisping's thing is he wants to fight and he wants to be active, so he talks his way into getting the fights he wants. It's a very smart move, and he's good at it, so why not? At number 4, this is where we're similar, TJ, is we got the Diaz brothers. I mean, how can you talk about trash talk and not include the Diaz brothers? Nick and Nate, we talk about growing up with brothers and being competitive. These two are one and the same. These two make it so personal, and they bring it inside the octagon. Like you said, we'll see Nate with a triangle flipping off cameras. Yeah. It's crazy, man. No one talks trash like these two. At number 3, everyone's talking about him. TJ's favorite fighter in the UFC, Conor McGregor. Yeah. He has talked his way in the top 5, and even into a title shot. He's leapfrogged a bunch of guys because of the way he talks and because of the way he hypes his fight. At number 2, how can you talk about trash talk without this guy? He's the godfather. This is Tito Ortiz, the guy who kind of wrote the blueprint for all of us on how to market yourself, how to create a business out of yourself from fighting. Tito Ortiz hyped up fights better than anyone. And number 1, Chael Sonnen. He's just so dang creative with it. He talked his way into fights he had no business being in, fighting for title shots. And when you think about it, Chael's really a boring wrestler who talked his way into being this amazing fighter. He really wasn't knocking guys out or anything. He was a guy who had a grinding style, talked really good trash, and got into these mega fights. So he has to be your number 1. I like your style, TJ.
Oh, I think
you guys have a very similar list. Let me ask you, do you think it's good for the sport? Do you think that the trash talk and the hype and all of that that surrounds it, is it good for the sport?
I don't think so. I feel like we need to be professionals and show by example of how nice we actually can be, and how the sport's not all just about just being raw fighters. You know, I feel like we need to be professional with it and be just like all the other sports.